We are here at Duff's in Brooklyn celebrating the release of the Ronnie James Dio tribute, and of course, the legacy of Dio.
Well, it's a real thing. You know, I never realized that before. Before this, touched my life, my life was in a different place. Hey, I was like drinking and, doing all the great things that that we all do, because you don't think about any alternatives. And then when this, came down on me like a ton of bricks, my whole life changed, obviously, and my whole opinion of life changed. My opinion of people changed. Although I love people, I always have, and they've been so wonderful to me. But that's what's opened my eyes to everything. How much people really, really do care about you.
Yeah.
But it's down to how good a person you are, I think, as well. I've tried to be a good guy all my life, and be friendly and nice and not think so much of myself. And I think it's paid off.
What does Ronnie mean to you as a musician, as a person?
I love skill. I love craftsmen. And this is a guy who, as a vocalist, is one of the greatest vocalists in music, not just metal. Like, he could physically do things that a lot of people couldn't do. He's a great songwriter, and he was a great ambassador for heavy metal. That's what, he was one of the people that went out there and was well-spoken and was classy and, represented all of us really well.
The musicians that he always played with, he used to play in Rainbow, a lot of good heavy metal. Like, I'm originally from Colombia. It's a big, huge influence in all heavy metal.
For being real. I met him once, and spot on guy, down to earth, really cool.
One of the nicest guys I've ever met. Not even one of the nicest guys in metal or in a band, but just absolutely one of the nicest, most genuine, humble dudes you could ever want to meet. And I mean, he's a fucking legend, in our eyes, he's a god, basically, and yet when you meet him, he's just such a down-to-earth, gentle, just generous person. Like, you meet him for the first time and he acts to you like he's known you forever.
Halford told us a great story, off camera, and he said, look, he goes, when I saw Ronnie at the Golden Gods, he came up to me and said, Rob, how are you doing? How you been? Like nothing else was going on. And that's what Ronnie was about. He always wanted you to feel good. He never wanted to be about him. He always said, how are you doing? What's new with you? Even when he was going through the hardest point of his life, it was always about how are you doing? And that's the kind of guy he was. He wasn't a selfish guy. He was just a giving, loving guy.
Fuck, Ronnie James Dio, I feel like he's been a part of my life since I've been listening to music, basically. So it was a huge influence on me personally, and I'm sure as for everybody sitting here right now. Absolutely.
That's the type of guy you want to tell your generations after and after about. Like, that's el chacho, el padrino.
I grew up in Harlem, you know what I'm saying? All hip hop, all old school hip hop, you know what I'm saying? And I used to take the kids from my projects and sit them down and let them listen to fucking old Black Sabbath and, old Rainbow and all that old shit. And they love it till today. You know what I'm saying? They remember it.
How did it happen? Was it like an older cousin or a brother who's like, here's Dio?
It was my dad brought me up on Maiden and Priest and all that stuff, and I think the first time was the Last in Line album. As soon as We Rock came on, I was like, oh my god, this is it's speaking to me. It kicks ass. And actually, when I heard Egypt, that was it. As soon as I heard that song, I was like, all right, this guy he's a legend. Like, I'm never gonna top that. The least I can do is try.
Have you had a chance to listen to any of it?
Yeah, I heard the Ronnie Rising medley by Metallica, which kicked ass. I heard Hailstorm's cover, which was awesome, and Corey Taylor did the cover Rainbow the Dark, kicks ass. I can't wait to hear the rest of it.
greatest moment for me was when obviously I got to include Corey Taylor from Slipknot and Stone Sour in an interview with Ronnie James Dio, and I was talking to Corey and I saw Ronnie and he was walking and it looked like he was about to leave, and I was like talking to Corey, we were like in mid-interview, and I was like, dude, Corey, do you want to interview Ronnie with me? And he was like, fucking, of course. And I was like, all right, Corey, hold on. I was like, Ronnie, come here. And I walked over and I got Ronnie and I told him what we were gonna do, and he was like, oh, of course, Jose. And he came over and I brought him over, and I, you know, just very lovingly brought him over, and we talked, and Corey and him, you know, the golden voices of metal, they just spoke so well to each other. They were very respectful. You know, both guys were big fans of each other. They just met that night. Right before that interview, they had met.
And it's really cool for me to, you know, to make another friend, especially one who's respected as much as Corey is by everybody and by me. So this is really cool. He's my bud now.
I'm starting to blush, man. I really am. I really am.
Well, there goes the kiss out the window.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like Scott said, Dio it's like I felt like I knew him all my life. You know, I was introduced to his music when I was that big, about 10 or 11, and saw them many, many times. I met Dio the first time outside a hotel in Copenhagen when I was about 10 or 11, and he was very nice and took pictures and signed autographs and the whole thing. And just, you know, we played with Heaven and Hell a couple, 2-3 years ago, and it's just like one of those, like, oh my God, they're all here. Yeah. Tony's here, Ronnie's here, you know, Geezer's here. I mean, it's just like, it's pretty amazing. So, and he was, the last time I saw him was when you guys were playing, you guys were touring with him at the Forum in LA a couple, 2-3 years ago, and he just always made you feel like you walked in the dressing room, you always embraced, you always felt welcome.
Italian thing.
Have a glass of wine, and he always, like, just when you were talking to him, he always looked you in the eye, and just, it made you, you know, hey, listen, you know, we're all, you know, I'm sure a lot of us not get too starstruck anymore or intimidated or whatever, but still, I mean, when I was talking to Ronnie the last time in the dressing room a couple years ago, it was like, oh my God, it's Ronnie Dio.
Yeah.
Oh, he's talking to me.
Yeah.
He's offering me a glass of wine. I was like, fuck.
And he would make you feel better. Like, seriously, like, I saw him the last time just maybe 2 months ago at the Revolver thing.
Yeah.
We were just at in LA. And the Golden Gods Awards, and Ronnie got, you know, best vocalist, and I'm talking to him in the dressing room, and knowing, you know, that he's got cancer and all this, and being super bummed about it, and somehow you have a conversation with the guy, and I walked out like feeling better about the world. Like, here's the guy that's telling me, like, yeah, you know, I think I'm gonna beat it, you know, the chemo's kicking my ass, but, you know, I'm feeling good about things. And we ended up having this conversation. I walked out of there like I feel better. I feel better about myself as a human being after talking to Ronnie James Dio.
I remember the first time I met Ronnie. We had done a tour with him for the So Far So Good So What record, and I walked up to him, and it was the first time I'd had a record that had charted very high, and I was really excited, and I said, hey, I want to thank you for taking us out, and he goes, well, I want to thank you for taking us, for coming out with us, right? And I said, well, no, seriously, I want to thank you for taking us out. He goes, look, we could both sit here and jerk each other off, we can go smoke a joint, so, and I went, okay, I give.
What I would like to say is we also have the Ronnie James Dio Stand Up and Shout Cancer Fund. For men, this is really important. If you're over 50 years old, you need to get checked for cancer. You need to go out and get a colonoscopy. Women do it every year. Men don't do it. Men, please, if you love Dio, go get a cancer check, because you never know. Ronnie didn't know he had cancer. If he would have known sooner, he'd still be here with us today. You need to go get checked for cancer, and we have the Ronnie James Dio Cancer Fund, which is called the Ronnie James Dio Stand Up and Shout Cancer Fund.
Rest in peace, Ronnie James Dio.